endings. No matter how much we prepare for them, they always seem to hit harder than expected. Whether it's the end of a relationship, the fading of a friendship, leaving a job, or even just closing a chapter in life. Endings carry a weight that lingers. And I think the reason they hurt so much is because they're not just about what's ending, they're about everything we've invested along the way. For me, endings are painful because they represent loss of possibility. When something ends, it's not just the present moment you're losing, it's the future you imagined with it, the what if. And that relationship you thought would last, that friendship you thought would always be there, the path you thought your career would take, it all dissolves. You're really left mourning not just what was, but what could have been. Another reason is that endings force us to really confront change. And change for a lot of people is uncomfortable. Humans like stability, even if it's imperfect. There's a strange comfort in the familiar, even when it isn't the best for us. When something ends, it disrupts that comfort and forces us to step into uncertainty. And uncertainty often feels scarier than pain itself. I also think endings hurt because they remind us of our lack of control. You can give everything you have to a relationship, a friendship, or a goal, but sometimes it still ends. And that can feel unfair, even crushing. And it makes you realize that no matter how much effort you put in, some things aren't meant to last forever. But here's the paradox. As painful as endings are, they're also proof that something mattered. You don't grieve things that had no meaning to you. You don't miss people you didn't care about. The pain of an ending is often really the shadow side of love, connection, and investment. It means you poured yourself into something, and that's not weakness. That's a sign of being human. The hardest part for me is the silence after the ending. You get so used to someone's presence, the calls, the texts, the routines, even the small annoyances, and then suddenly it's gone. And really, that absence feels louder than anything else, that silence. And learning how to live in that silence, to rebuild yourself without the presence you've leaned on, is where a lot of growth happens. Over time, though, I've realized that endings aren't just about loss, they're also about space. Space for new beginnings, for lessons learned, for self discovery. And endings do not strip away what no longer fits, even if it hurts, but it makes room for something else to take root. And you may not see it right away, but eventually you'll realize that every ending leaves behind a seed of growth. And so, really, my takeaway on this topic is endings hurt so much because they touch every part of us, our hopes, our comfort, our sense of control. But as painful as they are, they also remind us of how deeply we can love, how much we can invest, and really how resilient we can be. Endings close doors, yes, that is true, but they also open paths we may have never walked otherwise.